So a New York Times editor was fired the other day. Her name is Wolfe. She said the following on Twitter. Biden landing at Joint Base Andrews. Now I have chills. Or excuse me, Biden landing at Joint Base Andrews now. I have chills. You could see pretty good engagement. 101 retweets, 265 quote tweets, 587 likes. My guess is that probably got ratioed too, but I don't see the number of responses. Anyway, so now there's this narrative that developed that this is why she was fired, this tweet. That's not exactly clear because she apparently tweeted and deleted something else where she blamed Trump and said it's fucked up that Trump didn't send a military plane for Biden because all the previous presidents have done that. But apparently Biden chose to take his own plane. So she tweeted that and then she deleted it when she realized, okay, what I'm saying is not true. Is it possible that both of these tweets led to why she was fired? Again, we don't know because according to the New York Times, they came out and said, no, actually, it didn't have to do with either one of these things. And we can't get into it. We can't get into stuff that's going on with personnel for privacy reasons. But suffice to say, it wasn't what everybody's saying it is. It wasn't these tweets. There were other things that sort of led to the firing. Now, listen, do I believe the New York Times? I have no idea. I don't know who I believe. I'm totally agnostic on why she got fired, how she got fired, and all that stuff. You know, there is a reason. The truth is out there, but we'll probably never know it because you're going to get different narratives from everybody. The New York Times is going to say one thing, she's probably going to say another thing, and then the narrative that developed on Twitter is a third thing. So I don't know exactly why. Now, having said all that, let's get into, you know, some of the nooks and crannies. That's such a weird phrase. Some of the nooks and crannies of this conversation. So, Glenn Greenwald, friend of mine and friend of the show, he actually tweeted this and was making fun of it and was like, listen, we don't expect objectivity, but Jesus Christ, you have chills because Biden's landing at Andrews Air Force Base? I mean, it's just pathetic, the fawning over Biden. Now, he didn't say, hey, look at what she said, she should be fired. He didn't say that at all. In fact, Glenn is against her being fired. But a lot of people were blaming Glenn that she got fired because Glenn made fun of that tweet and, you know, it got some pretty good engagement. It's not at all Glenn Greenwald's fault because, again, you can't say he made fun of somebody on Twitter, therefore any negative thing that happens to her is his fault. No, he was making fun of her on Twitter because she said something silly, and this is what you do on Twitter. It's a free and open platform. You want to dunk on somebody, dunk away. It's a free country, right? It should be a free platform, but it's debatable as to whether or not it is. So I don't blame him. It's not his fault. In fact, he came out as soon as he learned she got fired and was like, I never said she should get fired. I was just making fun of her tweet because her tweet is stupid. So I don't agree with the people on Twitter who are going after Greenwald. Now, I will say, here's where the conversation gets interesting to me. This is an editor at the New York Times. Now, yes, the argument is, hey, this doesn't affect her job, so she shouldn't get fired. Like, this doesn't necessarily mean that she did a bad job at her job. It just means she said something silly. I agree. So I agree she shouldn't get fired. But I will say this. Don't tell me that there isn't a culture in the media that isn't incredibly toxic, that they really are sycophantic to corporate Democrats, because that's exactly what this is. But that's the point, is it's not just Wolfe. If you were to clean house and get rid of everybody who heaped fawning praise on Biden, unnecessary fawning praise, non-substantive praise, you would have to hire 60 to 70% of mainstream media. You would have to fire 60 to 70% because there were so many ridiculous points that were made. I remember the guy on CNN who was saying, the lights look like Biden's outstretched arms giving the country a warm hug. He said something to that effect. Well, I'm paraphrasing, but it was something along those lines. You know, we're going to get to a story later where they compare Biden's speech to, you know, a speech by Abraham Lincoln, and they say Bush and Obama and Biden are like the Avengers coming to save the day. Yes! And so, in all seriousness, these people in the media objectively suck at their jobs. So there is an argument there that you should fire 60 to 70% of the media, because if the job of the media is to inform the American people and be a watchdog of the people in power so that we can see when they're doing wrong things to correct course and educate the American people and look out for the American people, none of them are doing that job. None of them are doing that job. So in other words, If you cleaned house in the media and 60 to 70% of them got fired and got replaced by real people who are willing to be critical of those in power, then I would agree with it. But you can't just single out one of them and fire one of them, especially because there's way worse shit that comes out of the New York Times, you know? What is it, Thomas Friedman or David Brooks writing articles like The Disease of the Arab Mind or some shit like that, and he gets to say that all day long and it's no problem, but then you got this person who's praising Biden and it's like they need to be fired? That just doesn't make sense. In other words, you cannot single her out and say, you did it, so we're going to fire you, but everybody else, we're not firing, even though they do just as bad, if not worse stuff on the exact same topic. But again, then this gets back to the heart of the conversation, which is why was she actually fired? We don't know. We have no idea why she was actually fired. It could be this, and the other tweet where she wrongly said it's fucked up that Trump didn't offer a military plane because Biden chose his plane, so she deleted that tweet. It could be a pattern of behavior that you and I don't know about. You know, we really don't know. It could be interpersonally behind the scenes with the coworker she worked for. There were complaints. We don't know. Okay, but suffice to say, if it's over this tweet that she got fired, I don't agree with it. I don't agree with firing her. Because again, the issue that she has is a systemic issue, and it's 60 to 70% of the media that's just as bad as she is. So if you really wanted a clean house, and all the management said we're going to let go of everybody in the media and start from scratch and actually build from the ground up an institution that actually holds the powerful accountable, I would support it, no questions asked. But if you're going to single one person out, sorry, it makes no sense. And it's wrong. But listen, note to the media, everybody better shape up, because you are the caricature that the Fox News types make you out to be. And just to be clear, that's not me praising the Fox News types, because they're the equal opposite caricature. They, blow Trump 24/7 and blow the establishment Republicans 24/7. That's what Fox News did. Forget it. One American News Network and Newsmax are the worst of the worst. They feed every conspiracy under the sun. So they're terrible in an equal and opposite way. But you guys are going to be so sycophantic to the corporate Democrats that it's embarrassing. And there is no defending that on the substance. I will defend it in that she shouldn't have gotten fired, but on the actual substance, no. It's, you guys are a mess, and you need to totally rework the culture of mainstream media. But having said that, from a selfish perspective, I shouldn't even want that, because it's stuff like this that leaves a lane open for my show. A lane open for people who, yes, I have an opinion. Yes, I'm on the left. Yes, I have beliefs and an ideology, but I'm upfront with my opinion, and also I'm willing to hold the powerful accountable, even if it's somebody who nominally I agree with. Like, everybody knows how much I supported Bernie Sanders, but I've had incredibly detailed criticisms of Bernie because I care more about the issues than I care about Bernie. And I swear you're not going to see that from these goofballs in mainstream media. You're just not, because they're more playing the partisan game. It's the rah-rah blue team or rah-rah red team. It's really, really dim and stale and boring. I think it's just incredibly boring. Bores me to tears. So anyway, wouldn't have fired her, but that doesn't mean she's doing a good job. The reason I wouldn't have fired her is because 60 to 70% of the media is just as shitty as she is.